Latina tutorials with Mr. K, Pensvm D. This video is meant to accompany the Latine Disco or the Lingua Latina College Companion text, both available from Focus Bookstore. Let's get into the text. Here we are in Chapter 3. You should have your Pensvm D questions in front of you. So looking at line 3, what part of speech is contat? Contat is a verb. And what is a verb? A verb is a word with tense and person, but without number, without case. It's a tense and person without case. So this verb happens to be present tense. It is third person. First person is I, second person is you, third person he, she, it, and here we have Julia as the she. Julia sings. So it's third person, one person, Julia, and it is singular. So it's singular, third person singular, and it's present. The case is reserved for nouns and adjectives and pronouns, and so verbs do not have case, so they will not. Don't confuse nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, and ablative with what verbs do. The second feature I want to show is also contained in line 3, and then also you'll find it in line 8, where you have contat here, and you have contat in line 8, or pulsat in line 8. And if you scroll further down, you have in line 10, ridet. The verbs have different endings. You have ought here, contat, and ridet here, ought and et. Notice the T remains the same. Verbs belong to 4 different conjugations. A conjugation is like a family for a verb. So verbs belong to those families based on their stem vowel, the vowel that you see that comes before their ending. So here we see an A in front of the T for contat, and here we see an E in front of the T for ridet. So those two belong to different families. There are 4 different verb families, and they are ara, era, and ira verbs based on what is called the infinitive ending, ara, era, ira. So contat in the infinitive would be cantare, to sing. Ridet would be ridera, to laugh. And those are first and then second conjugation verbs. There are 2 others that you'll learn as you get further in the book. The vowel in front of the letter here tells you which one it belongs to. So another feature I want to point out is in line 8. We have these 2 words, Marcus and Julia. What part of speech is Marcus and Marcus and Julian? They're both nouns. And what is a noun? A noun is a word that has case, number, and gender. There are 5 cases in Latin, and a case tells you is a set of endings or declension is a set of endings that tells you what, and each case in that declension tells you what function a noun has in the sentence. So the 2 cases that you're learning in this chapter are nominative case like Marcus and accusative case like Juliam. Marcus, the subject, is nominative case. Juliam, the direct object of the action, is in the accusative case. So Marcus Juliam pulsat. Marcus hits Julia. Since Julia is receiving the action, she is in the accusative case. You're going to see several nouns in this chapter in the nominative and accusative cases. So what is, in line 8, what is the case, number, and gender of Juliam? It is accusative because it is receiving the action. It is singular because there's just one person. And it is feminine because Julia is a girl. The noun itself is feminine. So looking at line 8 also, what is the case number and gender of Marcus? Marcus is nominative because he's the subject of pulsant. He's doing the action. He is masculine, and he's singular. There's just one of him doing the action. Okay, so now look at lines 8 and 10 again. So cantat and ridet. Which verb families do those two verbs belong to? Cantat and ridet. Cantat is first conjugation. It's in the first verb family, the ara family. Ridet is in the second conjugation, the era family. There are two other families, the eras and the eras, that you'll learn later. Look at line 11 and look at line 11 and 21. In line 11 and 21, what is the difference between videt in line 11, quintus Marcum videt, and in line 21 we have Aemilia venit. What's the difference between videt and venit? Videt is a transitive verb because it takes an object. I could say Marcus Juliam videt. Marcus sees Julia, and Julia is receiving the action of seeing. But Aemilia venit, Aemilia is coming, does not have an object. She is not doing an action to another noun. The action is contained in the verb itself. She is coming. So that's the difference between a transitive verb being a verb that transfers its action, and intransitive, a verb that does not transfer its action. Now look at lines 24 and 25. Line 24 has quis me vocat, and line 25, Julia te vocat. Me and te are accusative, common, singular pronouns. They're common because they remain the same whether or not it's a man or a woman, or a masculine or feminine, whether they're standing in place of a masculine or feminine noun. These are pronouns. And since they're standing in place here, me is standing in place of Aemilia, and Quintus, or te is standing in place of Quintus in sentence on line 25. So who calls me? And Julia calls you. Me and you are both in the accusative case. So moving on, looking at line 35. Aemilia quintum interrogat ubi est Julius, cur non venit. What is the subject of venit here? The answer is Julius. Where is Julius? Why isn't he coming? Often, we do the same thing in English. Often the Romans would leave out the subject, and if you have two sentences in a row with the same subject, the subject is carried over from the previous sentence. So, where is Julius? Why does he not come? Why isn't Julius coming? So Julius being the subject of venit. Looking at line 42, we see Julius quintum non audit neque venit. So what is neque, and when is it used? So neque is simply et non, but the Romans didn't like to say et non, so instead they said neque. So we translate it just like et non. Julius does not hear Quintus, and he does not come. Neque venit, and not. Et non venit. Look at line 43, and you see quintum non audit, Julius eum non audit, quia dormit. What is the case number and gender of eum and why? Well, eum is accusative singular masculine because it is standing in place of quintus, and it's the direct object of known audit. So Julius does not hear him, the accusative direct object receiving the action of the hearing, or here in this case, of the not hearing. And looking at line 53, we have to scroll to the next page. Line 53, we see Julius quintum videt eumque interrogat, cur Marcus plorat. What is eumque, and how is it formed? We just saw the pronoun eum, the accusative masculine singular, him, and now we see eumque. This is not a brand new word, but rather it's the enclitic que, which means and, tacked on to eum. So eumque, as we see in the margin, is the same as saying et eum. So Julius sees Quintus, and he asks eum. He asks him, why is Marcus crying? So now let's go to lines 69 and 70. Let's see. What is the case number and gender of qui? We've got to go to the next page. Right here in qui. Quis est puer qui ridet. Case number and gender of qui. This is a relative pronoun, meaning it relates back, it creates its own clause, the one who cries, and it refers back to another subject. So quis est puer qui ridet, who is the boy who is laughing. Qui is masculine because it's referring to boy, it's relating back to boy, puer. It's singular, and it's nominative because it's the subject of ridet. Who is the boy who laughs? And then look at line 70. What is the case number and gender of quae, and what part of speech? Quae est puella quae plorat. Who is the girl who cries? Quae is the same relative pronoun now in the feminine form, so it's nominative feminine singular, referring to the girl, puella. So qui and quae are both the same case and number, they just change genders. Who laughs? Who cries? The one who laughs, the one who cries. Looking at line 72 and 73, Marcus qui puellam pulsat puer improbus est, puella quam Marcus pulsat est Julia. Marcus who hits a girl is a bad boy. The girl whom Marcus hits is Julia. Those are, here we have the example of qui as the nominative, masculine, who hits a girl. But then we have in the next sentence, quam, we have in the accusative case, puella quam, the girl whom Marcus hits is Julia. So here we have the accusative singular from feminine from qui, and it's referring to Julia receiving the action of the pulsating. And then we also see in line 75 the masculine form of qui in the accusative. The boy whom Amelia is spanking is Marcus. In English, when we translate our accusatives of who, we use whom. So if it's an object, it should be whom in your translation. So the boy whom Amelia spanks is Marcus. And that is the end of Pensvm D. Go ahead and try to answer those questions, and I'll see you in chapter 4 when you're ready.